In the heart of a small town stood an abandoned amusement park, its once vibrant rides now creaking in the wind like skeletal remains of a forgotten era. Locals whispered tales of tragedy that had befallen the park, stories of accidents and mysterious disappearances that had left a dark stain on its history. But none of the rumors could prepare the group of adventurous teenagers who dared to venture into the decrepit park one moonless night. They laughed and joked as they explored the dilapidated attractions, unaware of the malevolent presence lurking in the shadows. As they wandered deeper into the park, the air grew thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the distant howl of the wind. Suddenly, they stumbled upon an old carousel, its paint peeling and its horses frozen in twisted poses. Despite the warnings echoing in their minds, they couldn't resist the temptation to take a ride. As the carousel began to spin, a sense of dread washed over them. The laughter faded, replaced by a primal fear clawing at their hearts. And then they saw them, the ghosts of children, their eyes hollow and filled with malice, riding alongside them on spectral steeds. Panic consumed the teenagers as they realized the true horror of the park's past. The vengeful spirits of those who had perished here were now seeking retribution, their anguished souls bound to the abandoned rides for all eternity. Desperate to escape, the teenagers fled into the maze of crumbling attractions, pursued by the relentless spirits. But no matter where they turned, the ghosts were always one step ahead, their whispers echoing in the darkness like a sinister chorus. As dawn approached, the exhausted teenagers stumbled out of the park, their minds haunted by the horrors they had witnessed. But little did they know, the malevolent spirits of the amusement park had no intention of letting them go so easily. The ghosts had tasted fear, and now they hungered for more. Days passed, but the lingering darkness of the amusement park's curse refused to release its hold on the teenagers. Nightmares plagued their sleep, and strange occurrences unfolded in their waking hours. Shadows danced at the corners of their vision, and ghostly whispers echoed in the silence of their homes. As the group struggled to cope with the supernatural aftermath, they discovered a chilling revelation. The ghosts were not confined to the amusement park. The vengeful spirits had attached themselves to the teenagers, an unseen tether binding their fates. Each member of the group experienced unsettling encounters, as if the spirits were reliving their tragic past through the living. Desperate for answers, the teenagers delved into the town's history, uncovering a tale of greed, betrayal, and a catastrophic accident that claimed the lives of several children during a fateful carnival. Decades ago, the once joyful amusement park had become a twisted mausoleum for the souls of those innocent victims seeking justice from beyond the grave. In their quest for redemption, the haunted teenagers found an old journal belonging to a former carnival worker who had witnessed the tragic events. The journal spoke of a ritual, a long-forgotten incantation that could break the curse and free the spirits. With each passing day, the paranormal activity escalated, pushing the group to the edge of their sanity. United by fear and a shared destiny, the teenagers embarked on a perilous journey to break the curse. Guided by the cryptic words in the journal, they retraced the steps of the ill-fated carnival and faced supernatural challenges that tested their courage. As they neared the climax of the ritual, the malevolent spirits intensified their torment, revealing the darkest corners of the group's pasts. Secrets long buried resurfaced, forcing each teenager to confront their guilt and remorse. The spirits demanded justice not only for themselves but for the sins committed by the living. With the ritual drawing to a close, a haunting presence manifested. The vengeful specters stood before the teenagers, their eyes now filled with a mixture of sorrow and gratitude. The air crackled with ethereal energy as the curse began to lift, the spirits finding peace in the release of their long-held resentment. However, the fate of the teenagers remained uncertain. The spirits, now free, left behind a cryptic warning. The balance between the living and the dead was delicate, and the price of disturbing it would be severe. As the last echoes of the curse faded away, the group was left to ponder the consequences of their encounter with the otherworldly. The legend of the haunted amusement park was no longer confined to the past. It had become an ever-present shadow, a reminder that the boundary between the living and the dead was more fragile than they could have ever imagined. And so, the teenagers grappled with the aftermath, wondering if they had truly escaped the clutches of the vengeful spirits or if the darkness still lingered, waiting for an opportunity to return. As the days passed, the teenagers struggled to readjust to normal life, haunted by the memories of their harrowing ordeal. Despite their best efforts to move on, they found themselves drawn back to the abandoned amusement park, unable to shake the feeling that something lingered within its decaying walls. Strange occurrences continued to plague the town, each one more ominous than the last. People whispered of spectral apparitions wandering the streets at night, their mournful wails echoing through the darkness. Fear gripped the community, and rumors spread like wildfire, fueled by paranoia and superstition. Meanwhile, the teenagers grew increasingly restless, plagued by nightmares and unexplained phenomena. They sought solace in each other's company, banding together to unravel the mysteries that surrounded them. But the more they delved into the darkness, the more they realized that their fate was intertwined with that of the haunted amusement park. As they pieced together the fragments of the past, they uncovered a sinister truth. The curse that had befallen the park was not a random act of malevolence, but a deliberate act of revenge orchestrated by a long-forgotten entity. It was a being of immense power, driven by centuries-old grievances and fueled by the suffering of the innocent. Determined to break the cycle of terror once and for all, the teenagers embarked on a perilous quest to confront the entity responsible for the curse. Armed with newfound knowledge and ancient rituals, they ventured into the depths of the park, prepared to face whatever darkness awaited them. But as they delved deeper into the shadows, they realized that their adversary was far more formidable than they had ever imagined. The entity, sensing their presence, unleashed its full wrath upon them, manifesting in terrifying forms that defied comprehension. In a desperate battle of wills, the teenagers fought against the darkness, their courage tested to its limits. With every step they took, they risked losing themselves to the malevolent force that sought to consume them. And then, just when all seemed lost, they stumbled upon a revelation. The key to defeating the entity lay not in brute force, but in the power of redemption and forgiveness. It was a revelation that challenged everything they thought they knew, forcing them to confront their own flaws and insecurities. With newfound determination, the teenagers confronted the entity, offering it the one thing it had longed for all along: compassion. In a moment of profound catharsis, they forgave the entity for its past transgressions, releasing it from the shackles of hatred and resentment. As the darkness receded, the cursed amusement park was transformed, its once malevolent presence replaced by a sense of peace and serenity. The entity, now freed from its centuries-old burden, vanished into the ether, leaving behind a sense of hope and renewal. But the teenagers knew that their journey was far from over. The mysteries of the haunted amusement park had been unraveled, but the world was still filled with darkness and uncertainty. And so, they vowed to carry the lessons they had learned with them, facing whatever challenges the future might hold with courage and compassion. As they left the park behind, the teenagers knew that they would forever be bound by the bonds they had forged in the crucible of adversity. And though the memory of their ordeal would always linger in the shadows of their minds, they walked away with a newfound sense of purpose, ready to embrace whatever destiny awaited them. As the teenagers emerged from the haunted amusement park, they were greeted by a world that seemed irrevocably changed. The town that had once thrived now lay in ruins, shrouded in an unnatural darkness that seemed to seep into every crevice. The air itself felt heavy with malevolence, as if the very essence of the cursed entity had permeated every inch of the once vibrant community. The entity, far from being vanquished, had merely taken on a new form, one more insidious and all-encompassing than ever before. It had fed off the forgiveness and compassion offered by the teenagers, twisting those virtues into a perverse mockery of redemption. The darkness that had once resided in the amusement park had now spread like a cancer, consuming everything in its path. The teenagers, realizing the grave mistake they had made, desperately tried to undo the damage they had unknowingly unleashed. But it was too late. The entity's influence had become a pervasive force, warping reality itself. The very fabric of the world unraveled before their eyes, and the boundaries between the living and the dead blurred into a nightmarish dreamscape. One by one, the teenagers succumbed to the suffocating darkness, their bodies twisted and contorted into grotesque forms. Their anguished screams echoed through the desolate town, and heard by anyone who might have been left to witness the tragedy. In the end, the once haunted amusement park stood as a monument to the unchecked malevolence that now ruled the world. Its rusted rides creaked and groaned, forever tainted by the twisted fate of those who had sought to defy the entity's curse. The town, now a desolate landscape of despair, served as a chilling reminder of the consequences of meddling with forces beyond mortal comprehension. The entity, having absorbed the very essence of the teenagers, loomed over the desolation like a god of darkness. It reveled in its newfound power, thriving on the suffering it had wrought upon the once thriving community. The laughter of ghostly children echoed through the eerie silence, a haunting testament to the terrible fate that had befallen the town and its ill-fated inhabitants. And so, the legend of the haunted amusement park reached its horrifying conclusion, a cautionary tale for any who dared to defy the natural order of the world. The malevolent entity, now an indomitable force, continued its reign of darkness, waiting patiently for the next unsuspecting souls to stumble into its web of eternal torment. The once promising future of the town had been extinguished, replaced by an unending nightmare that stretched into the abyss of eternity.